All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a man who is, and there's really no arguing this, one of the most important figures in the history of science, Francis Bacon. But he's also a guy who is just full of these fascinating contradictions. He was this brilliant visionary who literally helped invent the modern world, but at the same time, he was a disgraced politician whose career ended in a criminal conviction.
And that right there is the big question we're tackling. How does the person who laid the very foundation for the scientific method, this whole idea of relentlessly pursuing truth, end up getting taken down by a charge as grubby and basic as taking bribes? It's a puzzle, and it gets right to the heart of who he really was.
And you can really see it here, the two Bacons, laid out side by side. On one side, you've got the visionary, the philosopher, who gave us this new instrument of thinking that completely changed science forever. And on the other side, the ultimate political insider. We're talking Lord Chancellor of England, a man deep in the muck of politics who was eventually convicted by his own peers. It's like two totally different people were living inside one man. So to really get a handle on this, we've got to look at the crazy arc of his life. I mean, it's a story of just incredible ambition and an equally incredible collapse.
And wow, what an arc it was. He was born into politics, spent decades climbing that ladder, and by 1618 he reached the absolute top. And then, just 3 years later, it all came crashing down. Bam! Convicted of bribery, stripped of his job, fined, even thrown in prison for a bit. His public life was totally, completely destroyed. But here's the crazy part. This is where the real story actually begins.
So this is the key. Losing everything gave Bacon a perspective he never could have had when he was on top. It let him write his famous essays with this, brutally honest viewpoint. He wasn't writing about how the world should be anymore. He was writing about the world as he'd actually seen it, a place full of ambition, betrayal, and just flawed people.
And that's exactly why his essays, or counsels as he called them, still hit so hard today. They're not just some old philosophical thoughts. They're a practical and, often pretty cynical guide for how to get through the messiness of real life. Just take a look at what he says about revenge. He calls it a kind of wild justice. He gets it, you know? He sees it as this powerful, primal thing inside us. But then he immediately points out why it's so destructive, arguing that sure, the first wrong might break the law, but taking revenge totally tears the law apart. And this is his whole point, right? He basically says that getting revenge just puts you on the same level as your enemy. But the real power move, the way to become superior, is to just let it go, to pass it over. He's saying that's what a king would do. Forget about the past, focus your energy on the here and now, and what's next. But let's be clear, Bacon was no saint. His realism often slides right into pure cynicism, especially when he gets to talking about truth. This quote is a perfect example. He's not just saying people lie to get ahead. He thinks people have a natural though corrupt love of the lie itself. We just kind of like it. You can really see this battle going on in his writing. He knows what truth should be, the ideal, right? The sovereign good, shining like a pearl in the daylight. But his real-world take is that raw truth can be, well, harsh. Lies, on the other hand, are like candlelight. They can make things look a little grander. He even compares a lie to an alloy in a coin. Yeah, it makes the metal less pure, but hey, sometimes it makes it work the better. That's the voice of a man who has seen how the sausage gets made.
Okay, so at this point, you're probably thinking this Bacon guy was just a total cynic, a brilliant but pretty jaded observer of how messed up people are. But if you stop there, you're missing the other half of the story. You're missing the incredible, visionary idealist.
And this is where we get to his unfinished book, The New Atlantis. It's here that the disgraced politician just vanishes and the forward-thinking scientist totally takes over, sketching out this amazing blueprint for a better world, a world built on knowledge. At the very heart of this perfect island is a place called Solomon's House. And get this, its mission is just mind-blowing. Forget politics, forget power games. The goal here is pure discovery, to figure out how the universe works so we can achieve all things possible. It's basically the world's first ever blueprint for a modern research institution. And I am not using the word prophetic lightly here. I mean, what Bacon described inside Solomon's house, writing this nearly 400 years ago, is nothing short of astounding. Just look at this list for a second. He imagined sound labs to study acoustics and places to study light and create illusions.
He predicted genetic modification of plants, weather forecasting, health spas, and even submarines. He predicted submarines. He imagined a world where science wasn't just some hobby, but this huge collaborative project to make life better for everyone. It's an unbelievably optimistic and freakishly accurate vision of the future.
So, how do we put these two guys together? The cynical politician and the utopian scientist. Well, that's actually the key to understanding his whole legacy.
He was both things at once. The essays come from the realist, the guy who saw humanity's flaws up close and personal. The new Atlantis is the dream of the idealist, the guy who saw our incredible potential. You could say one is a diagnosis of the present, and the other is a prescription for the future.
And that's how it all clicks together. His legacy isn't great despite his contradictions, it's great because of them. His fall from power gave him that tough, real-world experience that kept his idealistic vision from just floating off into dreamland. And his scientific method, which was his greatest gift to all of us, gave us the actual tools we needed to start building that better world he imagined.
So that leaves us with one last big question. Bacon gave us the how, a method for figuring out the truth about our world. But are we using that incredibly powerful tool to build the why? To build that world he dreamed of, where knowledge is used for the good of everyone, to affect all things possible? Well, that's the question he left for us to answer.